Arizona overdose deaths up 380%, and 5 concrete tunnels under the desert fed it. This isn't rumor. Investigators found rails, lighting, ventilation, and 62 containers loaded with fentanyl, meth, and cash tied to CJNG. Why did it take 3,200 agents striking 147 locations at once to shut it down? Stay with this, because we'll show how those subway-like tunnels worked, how airport labels were swapped in 6 seconds, and how seismic sensors and thermal drones are now hunting what was missed. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. 5 tunnels under Arizona carried tons without a whisper because they were built to act like utilities, not caves. Each crossing was reinforced and aligned like a subway spur, with concrete collars around the shafts and steel bracing set at regular spans to hold shape under shifting desert soils. LED stringers ran low and tight against the sides, giving enough light to work but not enough to throw heat spikes up to the surface. They fed air with small forced vent fans so crews could stay down long enough to load, lock, and roll. What made the discovery sting was how simple the routes looked once mapped. Each tunnel crossed the line, hit a junction box that sat under a fake utility shed, then ran on grade into industrial space near existing freight. Above ground, towers watched license plates, drones scanned thermal signatures, and agents flagged odd trucks. Below ground, the corridor stayed invisible because nothing up top moved. The rails carried the weight, and the desert kept its silence. The engineering told the story. Crews sank concrete-lined shafts at intervals to pour the walls and anchor the braces. Rails ran true thanks to basic grade control. A slight downhill into Arizona, a smooth climb back toward the line, and 0 sharp turns. That let a worker hand crank a loaded cart or switch to a compact battery unit and keep speed without rattling. The cart sat low on rubber-damped bearings. Metal on metal was wrapped, no ringing, no squeal, so vibration monitors on the surface never lit up. Even the fan housings rode on foam blocks to kill hum. At each endpoint, a disguise. One mouth looked like a pump house with peeling paint and a fake meter. Another sat behind a fenced yard labeled for irrigation. On the US side, exits opened into warehouses with lease records, forklifts, and time clocks. They sat off trucking lanes and close to light industrial parks, where late-night pallets don't stand out. From there, loading took minutes. A rail cart rolled in, a false wall shifted, and a standard pallet wrapper finished the job. The payload sat waiting in 62 containers spread across the nodes. Inside, fentanyl and meth rode next to bands of cash, all grouped by colors that tied to lines out of the state. Red for Phoenix to Chicago to Detroit. Blue for a shorter Phoenix hop with a second leg by air. Green for cashback runs. The codes linked to routing sheets and booking windows so a shift boss could stack a week in under an hour and never touch a phone. One tunnel segment fed a warehouse less than a mile from a freight spur. That node used a medical supplies front. The pallets carried the right dimensions, the right shrink wrap, and the right freight class. A standing order moved every Thursday, leaving just ahead of routine weight checks. The loads paired with legal dense cargo to spoof total weight, and the bill of lading listed sterile kits and tube racks. A pharmacist's name on the manifest matched a licensing record pulled from a public database. No one argued with a box that matched the paperwork and looked like hospital stock. This is why timing mattered. The tunnels were the backbone. Break a warehouse and another filled the gap. Cut the rail below ground, and the schedule collapsed. When the ground network came into view, the next move shifted to the sky, where 6 seconds at a conveyor belt turned a red-coated pallet into priority medicine without a single extra beep on the scanner. Why did 5 cargo handlers at Sky Harbor make more in a week than a pilot on overtime? Because a 6-second move turned a red-coated pallet from the tunnels into medical priority on a national route. The job wasn't heavy lifting. It was a wrist twist and a walk-by at the merge belt, done when no one asked questions and every camera saw routine. Here's how it ran. Pallets left the warehouse as sterile kits or cold chain consumables, which sent them to a lane that gets speed and less touch. The insider play was a label swap that pushed them onto medical or priority lanes with fewer stops and faster release. A decal that matched the airline's current template, a barcode that read clean, and the right color slap near the corner post. The manifest already said medical, so the system believed what the eyes saw. The belt moved, the gate opened, and the load skipped the deeper pull for secondary screening. Airports say checks layered across people, software and scanners stop this. They do, until timing and placement beat the layers. The gap was simple. At the conveyor merge, the system trusts the last label and the last weight entry. That point sits between zones, so half the cameras see the underside of the belt, and the other half see a stack of cargo netting. Shift change creates noise. Badges ping readers, radios chatter, floor leads sign off. 6 seconds in that window is how a pallet moves from general cargo to medical priority without a stop. The mechanics stayed tight. The ring printed tamper-mimic labels with micro-tear slits and the same UV speckle pattern the airline used that quarter. Handlers with badge-level access worked the merge while a friendly lead logged a fake assist on a nearby jam. They knew the blind spot where the overhead dome camera hit a stanchion. One swipe pulled the old label, a second pressed the new one, and a palm smoothed the edge to set the adhesive. Nothing flashy, no pause. The belt never stopped. Control ran through short bursts, not phone calls. Encrypted messages rode through apps set to wipe after a few views, with schedule nudges like move drop to 2210 or lane 3 heavy. Burners lived inside unused employee lockers, batteries out, wrapped in foil to dull signal leaks. Micropayments flowed weekly through small fronts that looked like tutoring, lawn care, or rideshare fuel cards. Bigger cuts hit prepaid crypto cards that could pay for rent, medical bills, or a used car with no bank trail tying back to a cartel node. Recruiting wasn't random. They picked people with a reason to say yes. Past due rent, a sick kid, a parent's surgery. The pitch sounded like a temp bonus. Help clear rush medical pallets, keep the line moving, get a cash tip and later a crypto card. Miss a step and the bonus died. Hit rate targets and a monthly kicker showed up, so throughput became the score. They tied pay to error-free moves, which pushed handlers to stick to the script and avoid creative risks. Audits looked at manifests and weights, so the ring matched both. Labels lined up with the database entry. Pallet totals were spoofed by pairing contraband with dense, legitimate cargo like ceramic tile or motor parts. The scale read the same number the file expected, so nothing threw a flag. It took a different sensor to crack it. A pallet read, ambient medical, but a thermal check showed an odd cold patch where the dense filler should have held heat. That single variance didn't stop the belt. It lit a quiet tag, put a tracker on the route, and let surveillance map every insider hand that touched the flow. That 6-second swap bridged the tunnels to national air routes. Do that across multiple shifts and lanes, and you get a 2.4-ton monthly pipeline without a crash on the dashboard. When the takedown came, teams hit merge points, lockers, warehouses, and tunnel mouths at the same minute. And the next phase wasn't raids. It was permanent defenses layered into the belt, the badge reader, and the audit that follows the money. The tunnels weren't a side street. They functioned like a main artery, letting a shadow corporation live inside freight schedules, badge systems, and airport lanes without a ripple. That's why cutting the tunnels snapped the air pipeline and the money loop in one move. Now push for defenses that don't blink. Demand transparent audits that publish anomalies, real-time ground sensors tied to alerts, and insider risk programs that track sudden wealth, badge drift, and off-hours access at cargo hubs. Share this so local officials feel the heat and act. Investigators now watch New Mexico and West Texas. When the ground listens, what does the next tunnel say?